I'm Jack Bowmaster, and you're watching Utefans.net.
Welcome back to another episode of The Extra Point, brought to you by the Ken Garff University Club and presented by Utefans.net, the original home for Ute fans. I'm joined by Swoop, Cal Beck, the Rocket.
Look at that hat.
And Poinsettia Bowl MVP, Mr. Jordan Wynn. How are you guys doing tonight?
A lot better than following that game last Saturday.
Yeah.
A lot better.
Yeah.
But we're doing good.
2-0.
So we're going up against the Weber State Wildcats. Excuse me, the mighty Weber State Wildcats.
Mighty Weber State Wildcats.
Of Ogden, Utah. Great program that Jay Hill built up there, and same with Ron McBride. Had a big say in what this program is today. What are we thinking about this game tomorrow?
There's a lot of runoff that Weber benefited from the University of Utah. I mean, if you think about the Utah skills, the coaching in that was overflowing. Weber did benefit from that with Coach McBride going, Jay Hill, who's no longer there. But many coaches from the U have gone through that as a track. I think Weber State, you don't take them lightly. I mean, they've got everything to play for and nothing to lose. They've played two teams, Eastern Washington and Central, another school, and I apologize. But I was going to ask you, Jordan, their quarterback, Weiser, 121 rating through two games. Something to be worried about.
Maybe. Look, it's Weber State. Nothing against them. They're up the road. Swoop, do you think we win? Okay, yeah. Yes or no questions.
Swoop always knows.
Yes or no questions
Swoop
only.
always
I forgot.
knows.
My bad. No, look, it's the same. We used to talk about it all the time. When you play a team like this, you got to come out early, jump up on them, right? If you let them hang around, they will. That's usually the case with some of these games. Get up on them early, take care of the football, kind of, suck the life out of them early, right? If you let them hang around, that's where it kind of starts to get scary. So don't overlook them. Start conference play next week. We won't touch on that yet, but it's if there's ever a quote-unquote trap game, it would be something like this. So, I know Kyle's not overlooking them, but
he's not.
You better be prepared.
No, word on the hill is they're not looking past
which is good. Probably a lot of Nate Johnson. Do we see Cam Rising?
I don't think we see Cam.
I say that's a negatory.
Yeah, I think a lot of heavy dose of run with Nate Johnson. Take care of the football, play great defense, all the good stuff. Plan to win. Come out of it, 3-0 going into conference. Hopefully, then we get Cam back.
I got a question, actually. Kyle Whittingham has expressed some concern over these FCS matchups getting canceled because of conference expansion. What do you think about that, Cal? Because what I'll say really quickly is that I think these games are really important. They're good for the state. They're good for the Weber State program. They make a lot of their money for the athletic program with these kinds of games. What do you think about that potential?
Those small schools gain a lot by getting paid to come and play in these big stadiums. And some of these games are the biggest monumental experiences for a lot of these young college players when they go to these smaller schools. I mean, being at Southern Utah or Weber, playing in this stadium, I mean, there are very few games that are going to match the attendance and the volume and that experience that they've got. It's a sad casualty of the changing landscape of college football. And we've spoken about it on multiple times, but unfortunately, it's not in the best interest of the student-athlete experience for them to eliminate the FCS games. However, it's necessary for them to maintain the rankings and get the attention from the media and the broadcasting, which seems to trump all right now.
Well, it's going to hurt the FCS school, right? Does anybody know how much money we're paying Weber for this?
Gosh, I want to say it's something like $675.
Yeah, I mean, usually most of the FCS schools' budget comes from one or two of these games. So
there's a reason why Akron plays Michigan. There's a reason why Alabama plays these small schools the first 3 weeks of their season, minus last week, or the first weekend, obviously. Yeah. But there's a lot to gain in the community itself, especially when it's over the mountain range rivalry.
Yeah.
And we're going to see those start to evaporate, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. What's your prediction, final score, Swoop? No idea.
A lot.
Yeah.
Utah by a lot. Utah by a lot. I like it.
I think I'm going to have to say 50-17.
Oh, what was the score last time we played?
Something like that.
7? Wasn't it like 70? Did we put up
did hang a
70?
70 burger on them, I think.
I thought it was 70-7 last time.
Now, they've got a great running back who's averaged over 100 yards per game, Kingston, or Bankston.
Yeah.
Bankston's his
They're
name.
going to play good defense.
And that's one of our keys to success, in my opinion. Our defense started to get into a rhythm last week, and we started to benefit. But Kyle mentioned at halftime, we've got to control the trenches. We weren't seeing it on offense. We started to see it on defense. We started to get pressure. I think the keys to our victory are, number one, control the trenches so we can go into league play like that. Controlling the trenches will also allow us to develop a rhythm with our new starting quarterback, which I'm sure everybody is anxious to see one quarterback get in the game, get in a rhythm, and see what is absolutely possible with all that talent being on the field. And the last one, the defense fine-tuning. We've got to make sure our pressure's there. We've got to make sure our defensive backs are in the coverage. Nobody gets behind them. We've seen the flashes of success. They are growing, don't get me wrong. But it's time to now spit and polish and get ready for next week without looking past Weber State.
No,
I can't look past that hat.
Yeah. And honestly,
Watch your field of visit.
honestly, you guys are both former players. You don't prepare any differently for this game, for an FCS matchup than you would for
Absolutely
FCS.
not. And I mean,
Every week.
practice makes permanent. That's something that I preach to my students, that I preach to players that I coach. What they do this week in practice will set the tone for them going into league practice next week.
I think, I don't think you change no matter who you're playing. I know my schedule was always the same, how much film I watched, what situations I watched first, how I went about breaking down the game and getting prepared. It didn't matter who it was. The only thing in these games, and we would just always talk about how soon can I put the ball cap on, right, and get somebody else some reps, which is a little arrogant. Hopefully that's, part of the game. But look, you got to come out and play fast. If you're a local kid from Utah that didn't get recruited by Utah and went to Weber State, you've been circling this for the whole year. So you got to come out and play well, fast, and early, like I mentioned. Otherwise,
Keep an eye on Reed, their middle linebacker. He is a local product, West Jordan.
He's good.
Yes, and he's their leading tackler. He wasn't recruited. He's got a chip on his shoulder.
come in with his hair on fire. Like you gotta come out and play fast and score early and get up on them. You can't let them hang around.
Let me ask you this, Swoop, yes or no question. Do the cheerleaders drop from exhaustion and the number of push-ups they do tomorrow?
That's a yes.
I'll take that as a yes.
That's a yes.
He's predicting a high-scoring game.
Well, we're happy to have Weber State up here. We love that program. They put out a lot of good players. We have a lot of respect for them. We'll be right back, Ute fans, after this message from our partner, the Crimson Collective.
It's a community coming together to support University of Utah student-athletes. It's our town. It's our team.
Crimson Collective, I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
We're in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Crimson Collective, our town, our team.
Welcome back, Ute fans. We're joined by Utah sports legend Ron McBride. Welcome to the show, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
So I wanted to start this segment off by reading a quote to see if you could guess who said it.
Okay.
Okay? Utah was a soft program, an underachieving program, and a program that was going nowhere. Their expectations weren't that high. They said, just don't embarrass us against BYU. Stay in the middle of the league and be respectable, and you can stay as long as you want. The bar was low. The only exception was we just don't want to be embarrassed on Saturday.
I think that was a Chris Hill statement, if I remember right.
That was you.
That was me, yeah.
That was you.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of what they didn't expect much, I mean, just don't embarrass us. That was the key. But I knew from being here as an assistant coach, this place was a sleeping giant. And all it needed to do is be woken up.
So my question is, when you came into the program in the early 90s and really, truly accelerated it, I wonder what happened. Like, what did you do differently that made this program become what it is today?
Well, we built we had a 3-year plan, and we were going to put all our best players on defense to begin with, and we were going to suck on offense. We were going to be pretty conservative on offense, not turn the ball over, not do anything stupid.
Which was totally opposite of the former coach's approach.
Right, because nobody played defense in the league, here. And so I said, so all of our good players we put on defense. So we're going to develop a defensive culture first. And then the second year, we're going to get better on offense. And the third year, we're going to be in position to win the league and go to a bowl game. So and so I had a long-term plan here. Most coaches that came in here look for a couple of 3 years and have one good year and get out of here. But I was looking for something that would sustain itself over a long period of time.
What are some of your favorite memories as the head coach of the Utes?
Oh, the 34-31 games with BYU, obviously.
Back to back.
Yeah, and then when we beat USC in the bowl game down there in Pete's first year, where those guys thought they were so great, And
They still think they're so good.
And I think they got like 14 yards of offense or something in that game. And
Can I just say, Coach, that Pete Carroll famously said after that game, after the Vegas Bowl, that USC would never lose to a program like Utah again.
yeah, well, he's wrong. You got to realize how obnoxious SC people are.
Oh, we know. We know.
We definitely.
Yeah, I mean they think that they're in one world and everybody else is in another world.
That's Hollywood, right?
Well, whatever world it is.
Now, Coach, you coached here and also at our opponent tomorrow, Weber State.
Right.
Were there any similarities to the program that you tried to draw over?
Well, it was the same thing. Weber State was an embarrassment to that league. And so when I took the job, they were 1-10, and they almost had the same thought process. They had no recruiting budget. They didn't have this. They didn't have that, and they just wanted a stable program. And I said, I know how to turn this program around. I said, it's very simple. It's going to take a couple of years, and I think in the third year, we won the league. And I can still remember that first league meeting I went to where the coaches are and everything. They kind of treated Weaver like it was like a dog, like, oh yeah, And so I said, I'll get even with all these guys, and I'm going to start with the University of Montana and then work my way down.
I consider you the godfather of Utah football. I mean, we wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for the efforts and the success that you brought into this specific stadium. And we've always talked about the Utah culture, the family feeling. And I feel, through personal experience, that started with you. Specifically, MAFU.
Yeah, well,
MAFU acronym, for those at home that don't know, means mental toughness, attitude, fanatical effort, and unity. And that was the motto that we wore on hats when we played for you. Yeah. It was what we yelled at every practice. It was the life force of us. And we're still seeing the benefits of it today.
Yeah, well, what Kyle has done here is amazing, because you just look at the players, look at what kind of shape they're in, look what they look like, look how they develop them. I mean, I can't say enough about what this group of coaches have done, and not just Kyle, but I'm talking about Doug Alisai. Doug Alisai was the strength coach at Kentucky when I was there. Mm-hmm. And then when they were looking to hire a strength coach here, they were kind of looking at the head strength coach at Kentucky. I said, no, that's not the guy. The guy is the assistant, Alisai, because that guy knows how to develop players. He's a perfect fit for Utah. And he's a perfect fit in the weight room, and he's a perfect fit for the culture. And he's done a tremendous job here. You talk about, you got Luther Ellis, you got Lewis Powell, you got Morgan Scally, you got Colton Swan. You got all these guys that love Utah and are dedicated to this university and to this football program. So they've done a great job of developing the culture and the physicality of the game, and so yeah, it's amazing. And the key is, I think that they've kept it in the family. So Kyle completely understands, what you have to do to succeed here, and the assistant coaches completely understand it. And I'd say 90% of the people that work in that office over there are all Utah people.
So I have a question for you, Coach, because you kind of touched on this, and it's one thing I'll always remember you for, and that's that you're an exceptional recruiter.
Well,
and I'm just curious what you looked for in the players you recruited, because you recruited some good ones.
Yeah, so that's the name of the game, And because I was an assistant coach for 25 years, I've recruited all over the country in those 25 years. So I have relationships with a lot of people across the United States. So it was fairly not easy, but when I would go in to a school, I knew the people before, and they would send me they would help me get a player. And then we hired some guys. Greg McMacken could recruit Georgia and that area. Very important because we got some really good players out of Georgia and in that area back there where, football is really important to the kids. And then we hired the Kafusi boys who were big and helped us with our Hawaii connection, and Tommy Lee. So we hired guys specifically for not only could they coach, but could they recruit certain areas and bring us certain kids. And could they get the best kid out of Hawaii, the best kid out of Georgia, best kid out of different parts of the country.
And you had a strong recruiting tied to what's been referred to as the Polynesian pipeline.
Yeah.
You started that draw. I can't tell you how many players I heard running down the hallway in the dorms at 3 a.m. because it's the first time they've ever seen snow.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we started, when I was at Gavilan Junior College in Gilroy, which was 1960-something, I think. That's when I first recruited Polynesian players. And we had 4 that we brought in. And we went to the small college championship when I was at Gavilan, and 3 of those 4 guys had a big influence on that football team. And then we went to UC Riverside, who never won a league game, and all the Polynesians were at one particular school in LA, and so they were at Carson High School, and so we were able to get probably 7 players out of that high school. And Kisei Fiatoa was probably the biggest one because he's been recruited by UCLA and all these other schools. And at that time, the Polynesian people didn't know the difference between UCLA and UC Riverside. All they knew was a 4-year school, and you could get a college degree.
Jordan, do you have any questions for Ron?
Yeah, Coach. Talk about who were some of your biggest mentors and influences as you were coming up as a coach? Who'd you lean on?
I think obviously Wayne Howard. I first came with. Dick Tomey was huge. Because Dick was a great recruiter, very smart guy, and he was he knew how to run a program. I thought he was a very good football coach. I think Dave McClain, when I was at Wisconsin, I think he was. And then we had a wide receiver coach there, Fred Jackson, and I got a lot from him in developing players. I thought he was really good at developing players. So every head coach, had different things that. Rich Brooks, who I worked for at Kentucky, I thought he was really good at organization and understanding, how to rebuild a program. I think he was really good, and but probably Dick Tomey, Wayne Howard. I think those were probably the big 2. Yeah.
You've done legendary things your entire career, from breaking your finger playing ball.
Yeah, playing.
to desegregate, being the first California coach to desegregate buses in colleges, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
You absolutely did that. You have a legacy here. You have a legacy in Ogden as well. And I'm sure you talked about it earlier on your radio show, which I couldn't listen to because I was literally teaching first graders how to tie their shoes.
You're right.
But what are your keys to victory tomorrow, or keys to succeed with the Utah program?
Okay, well, first, if you play in Weber, don't take anything for granted. And I know that I was just over to drop something off at the office over there, and Cyrus told me that Kyle's been really hard on the kids this week, which is what he needs to be, because you don't want them to get complacent, you know, and they will, because they'll watch the film and they'll say, "Oh, we just beat Baylor, we just beat Florida. Now we got to play Weber State," and so everybody in school is telling them, "Oh, you should score 80 points this week against a one AA school," you know, and Weber actually has, on defense, I think they're pretty solid. And I think that where they're suspect is probably on the offensive side of the ball.
Good insight. Very good insight. Well, Coach, you've played a major role in my life, and I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for you. And I can honestly say I don't think I would be as successful in my career and as an educator and have the connection I have with my students because of your example. So thank you very much, sir. But I have one more question for you.
Okay.
What hit harder, when we beat Oregon up there in '94, or when Chris Ma'afala ran you over on the sideline in camp in '95?
Well, first of all, I just saw Chris, you know, about 3 weeks ago when I was in Hawaii. We had a reunion with all the players over there. And he apologized again for breaking my leg. You know, he said, "I know I broke your leg, Coach, but I didn't mean to." He said, "I thought you were going to send me home." I said, "Dude, I would send myself home before I send you home."
And that ended up being the most creepiest sound I can recall in my life, when we're trying to go to bed or we're playing poker and it's bed check, and you hear the coming down the hall of your crutches.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think anybody on the team ran faster.
Yeah. So Bill Bean, who was the trainer at that time, he told me I just had an ankle sprain, right? I couldn't walk. And we're down in Camp Carbon, which was that's another story. But we're down at Camp Carbon, and I'm just, you know, I can hardly walk. You know, I said, "No, you just got a sprain. You're going to be fine." I said, "Jesus, this is funny." So we're down there for 2 or 3 weeks, right?
Yes, sir.
So finally we come back up here and they do an x-ray. "Oh yeah, you got a broken leg." I said, "Well, it'd been nice if I knew it, you know, about a month ago. Would have been really good." But I'll tell you what, Chris was a great player, you know.
He was.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for everything that you've done for Utah, for the community, for my family, for myself. I love you, man.
Love you too. Hey, tell them about the return against Arizona in that bowl game.
Well, you could look it up on YouTube, but that's the perfect textbook reason of why you don't take an intentional safety.
That's exactly right.
One of the most beloved figures in Utah sports history, Coach Ron McBride, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for everything you've done for our community and our university. And we'll be right back after this message from our sponsor.
The Ken Garff University Club in Rice-Eccles Stadium is Utah's premier social club. Members enjoy incredible dining experiences, co-working spaces, exclusive member events, and fun game experiences like tailgating, pep rallies, and watch parties. Membership starts as low as $80 a month and is actively accepting new memberships. To learn more about joining this beautiful club, go to kengarffuniversityclub.com to learn more.
Welcome back. We're joined by one of the most beloved Utes of all time, Mr. Robert Johnson.
Ball hawk.
Thanks for coming on. Number 17.
Yep. Yes.
So, Robert, tell us what's going on in your life lately. What's new?
Oh, man. The University of Utah is where I'm at now. It's been a blessing to be back at the University of Utah as a U career success coach. I'm working in the business department, and I work with all the freshmen as well as the sophomores at their career choices, which is really awesome because I get to help with the resumes, cover letters, interview preparation, internships, job shadowing, career fairs. It's really cool. It's something that's different where you never think that I'll be doing higher education stuff, but it's very beneficial, and it's been amazing to be part of the university again.
And it's where it's needed.
Yes. I mean, I'm big on learning some of the resources that the university has, but then on top of that, I'm trying to share it with all the student athletes. I'm trying to give them the opportunity to understand that student comes first, athlete second, but sports in at some point. And when it does end, at least you have a good foundation, a good base. You know, it's pretty cool to kind of have this ability to teach some of our players about this stuff.
Thanks for fighting the good fight.
Thank you.
Number 3, Jordan Wynn.
Man, I mean, the best safety I ever went against, that's for sure. Quick story, like the first time I ever got a rep in spring ball, and I remember, coming in, I'm 19, feeling good, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna move Rojo, and I'm gonna throw this corner out, and I moved him, and I throw it, and it was like, hit you right in the chest.
Yes,
I remember you walked up, and you said something to me, and I just remember I was like, I've never seen a guy like this before. That was my introduction to Robert Johnson. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did.
We had a lot of good times. It's awesome to see you back at the university. Much needed. We talked about it off camera. Yeah. The athletes need it. We all need it. A lot of us don't know what to do when we're done playing, right? And it happens to all of us. And so I commend you, as Cal said. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
How's it been going so far?
Well, I mean, it's been tough. You know how the transition outside of football is always tough. Even though I've been done with the NFL since 2015, it's still hard as an athlete. I think we all kind of know that you're never ready to give it up. Never ready. It's like you can be hurt. You can say you retire, but are you really retired? Are you really done? So it's been tough, but it's been a big blessing for me to come back to the state of Utah that has been so helpful, transitional, growth, for me personal. And I'm just taking it all in and taking it one day at a time. But I love what I'm doing. And outside of that, being here at the University of Utah, I also do public speaking. I'm also with a podcast group, OG Therapy, where we talk about social health issues, speaking to high school students about their life and about everything that's happening. It's been a crazy year for me after reading a book that kind of set my purpose the way it should be. So I'm just really blessed and happy about everything.
And that book is?
The Alchemist.
Yes.
The Alchemist. I'll say that is, if you haven't read that book, you need to at least go listen to it. It's a book that talks about your life and talk about your journeys.
Yes.
Talk about your path, but it also talks about staying on your path and don't mess with the distractions, because everybody has distractions. Everybody knows that things can happen and it can alter you. But what I like to say now after reading that book is that everybody go to GPS. You got a destination that you go to. Sometimes you take the wrong turn. What does that GPS does? It recalculates or recalculate where you need to go. It's like it gets you there.
It redirects.
But in life, we always have the purpose that we see and we always want to do it. But the GPS might not feel like it's right. So then when you take those wrong turns, it always recalculates, like, come on back. But that book, The Alchemist, taught me to just stay on that path and this thing's going to work out. And things has been working out slowly, but surely it's doing really good.
As a former player, the intensity stays. Do you still get butterflies on game day?
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, come on now, like that. Like come on now. That's like asking somebody for some food and you know they're hungry. No, I get the chills. I have moments where I pace myself and I'm not crazy or anything, but it's moments where I have put on my helmet. Around my house.
And yell at the TV.
Sometimes I feel like I can think better. I feel like I'm comfortable. I feel like everything is good, but no, those chills would never go away. It's just, I mean, the cut, like fresh grass being cut, it does something to me. It makes me feel like training camp is happening. It's kind of weird that things like that happen, but it's because we're wired different.
We are wired differently.
Yeah,
you sound like me, man.
Yeah.
It's not fun to watch a football game with me. I sit there and I'm just locked in. My wife will be like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Just I'm in my thoughts right now. Just let me be in my thoughts for a minute."
And do you know about me watching the games? I like break down film while I'm watching games. It's like I'm watching the game. I'm like, oh, that's flip dog.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, like me and Slide during the game, me and Slide like argue with each other because he played linebacker, I play safety. It's like, no, that's not the call. This is the call. It's like we're not even playing, but we're like arguing about.
I love it.
I do this, man. I'm sitting there. I'll be like, Brady should have checked the protection the other way. That's why he got himself hit.
See? Yeah, you learn a lot, and like that learning experience never goes away. And right now, I'm in a position where I can explain to student athletes that the same thing that we have learned during sports our whole life about grinding, being a team player, understanding that y'all have a goal together. That's the same thing that happens in normal life when you have these type of jobs and you have different corporate jobs. You have to be able to bring the same grind that you have for the football or for sports in general to the corporate world, and they look at you differently.
Yeah. You'll be a top 1% if you bring that mindset into the corporate world. 100%.
Now, you worked at EA for a little bit. Was that so that you could get the inside track to change your stat numbers for NCAA football?
Well, I did ask somebody about it, right? But we all gonna ask about our ratings. Like, what's my rating? But really, I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer at heart. I'm a gamer. I've been a gamer my whole life, and being able to be part of EA Sports was so special for me. I enjoyed every minute of it. And when I was asked to move to Orlando, I had to make a family decision of like what's best for my kid, and it's like I can't just move beautiful Utah and go up to Orlando, Florida. And that dream of being a gamer, getting paid to play video games, like, hey, my job, it was like that's my job. But I had to do what was best and focus on things that was different that worked out better.
Big price for a 98 speed and 96 hands.
Hey, I just wanted 99 jumping ability. That's all I wanted. I wanted to be like Randy Moss, on defense at safety.
So, because I think the fans and the viewers want to know, and I certainly want to know, what are some of your favorite memories as a Ute?
The very first time I came here, my very first time coming here on my recruiting trip. I never seen snow. Never jumped on a plane, never left my neighborhood, but I come here and we was up in the box up there. And I was looking down at the stadium and I'm like, how many people does this hold? And like nobody really could give me like a clear answer because we play against a team down south. It's like the numbers change. You can't get a legit number. But I was like, does it ever fill up? And they said, yeah, it does. It fills up. I'm like, so they all get to watch us? It's like, yeah. All right, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So right at that moment, I knew that this was a special place to be at, and then it transitioned right into my first game starting against UCLA, and playing against UCLA. It was ranked number 11th that year, and that was my very first game. Coach Sataki, I love him. Coach Sataki was a big pusher of like, let's start Rojo. Let's see what happens. Coach Odom at that time was our safeties coach, and it's like, let's see what happens. It worked out really well where I wound up being the ESPN Defensive Player of the Week. I got my little sticker. I'm like, oh man, I made it. And then and then the next game we played against UNLV, dislocated my shoulder the second quarter. We wind up losing the game. You hit your highest highs, and then you hit your lowest lows. Then I realized I need to lift weights. I need to start working out.
That was the 27-0 game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a tough game.
Yeah.
Was that Ben Olsen? Olsen was the quarterback or no?
Yeah, Olsen was the quarterback at UCLA when we whooped them 44-6.
Yep.
But then that next week, UNLV put it on us.
Yeah.
Huge turning point for the Utes.
Yes, it was because it changed.
That was Frank was the back.
Tank.
Yeah.
Frank, yeah, when he dislocated my shoulder and I laid on the ground as he ran over other people during the same play, I'm like, this is D1. Man. This is really Division I football.
Would you rank the Sugar Bowl up there as one of your favorite memories?
The Sugar Bowl was a good one. The Sugar Bowl was good, but the best memory and one of the things that I felt that was really good for my career and for me, and this is being selfish and being personal about it, Colorado State.
2009.
2009 Colorado
interceptions.
Three interceptions.
Negative 3 degree wind chill.
Oh God! Oh
we
my God!
turned the heaters off.
Right? They cut the heaters
off. We were down.
Yeah.
I wasn't playing yet, and I had a jacket on, and he said, "Cut the heaters off," and I said, "Oh my God, I'm not gonna make it."
That game.
You know what? 3 interceptions.
I had 3 interceptions. That game showed me that I was able to play at a really high level if I put my mind to it. Right. Because that whole game, I kept getting close to getting interceptions. I remember kept getting close, and I'm like, I'm getting a good read on the quarterback. I'm like, I'm getting a really good read. And I remember Coach Sataki towards the fourth quarter, he just was like, can somebody on defense make a play? And I was like, I'm getting my hands on it, then catch the ball. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to catch the next one. I got the first interception, come to the sideline. You know, Coach gave me that look like, I know that you can do it. And I was like, Coach, I can get another one. He said, well, go get another one. Bam, go out, 3 plays later, got another one. And then Coach just like, this is why I brought you here. And then I remember Coach Scally. Coach Scally like looked at me and just was like, you know, I had a better game when he played against Colorado State. He was like, I had a better game.
Of course.
And I couldn't remember but he had a good game one year against Colorado State. And I was like, Coach, I can get another one. I just remember telling my boy Joe Dale. I remember telling Joe, I'm like, Joe, I said, I can get another one, man. Joe, he was like, then go do it. Got back out there on the field, was able to get a third interception. And I zoned in. Everything started to move slow. And that's because the practices we worked hard at practice, but it was things that I did at practice that I realized that it transitioned right into the game, which was one of the best feelings in the world because I've been at practice and been dropping interceptions and saying, oh, it's all right, I'm going to eventually get it. And then I get to a game and I'm dropping it. And that's when I realized that practice makes perfect. If you can practice hard, you can slow the game down slowly in your brain and you can make plays. And it just worked out for me. So that is a game that I will like cherish and I remember as one of my biggest games.
So Rojo, to change the mood a little bit, I know that you faced a lot of adversity in your life, and I'm curious about your upbringing and that adversity and how it shaped the person that you became today.
My mom, she's the superhero. She's the one that has, I would say that she did everything that she can to make sure that we was eating, made sure we had clothes on our back, and made sure that we was able to operate and function at a level where we respect others, even if we don't have it, and we continue to just give what we can. So things happen, and when you grow up, you start understanding as a grown man that sometimes the trauma that you have went through, it makes you a better person when you can admit it and talk about it. And you know, it's always hard. It's never easy. It's sometimes you don't want to open up some of those doors that you don't know that's behind those doors, you know. And my mom was one of the strongest. She still is the strongest woman, and she's still doing really good. But she made things happen in moments where you lose a husband unexpectedly. You have 7 kids. My dad, my mom, my husband, my dad, he was the breadwinner. He was the one that said, you stay home, I'm going to work. I'm doing everything, you take care of the family. And all of a sudden, that number is called and you just don't know what happens other than I got to take care of these kids. So my mom did exactly what it was. So going through all that, she made sure that love override everything.
Wow.
Thank you, Mom.
Yeah, yep.
Amazing. Robert, it's a pleasure, seriously.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We're so grateful to have you on the show.
You already
Thanks
know.
for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Rojo, my God, man.
You already know.
on.
Don't leave him hanging.
Glad you were on, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man.
Keys to victory tomorrow, real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Joe. Speaking of Joe D, he's on the
No,
staff.
Joe D is
And
the
Econ.
yes, he is. He's a secondary coach at
Watch
Joe.
out.
So it's hard to. I don't want to go against my boy, but what I would say the keys to win, control the ground like we've been doing. Control that. We got to get better at it. We did really good against Baylor, but that's going to be our bread and butter. And hopefully Rising can come back and we can get at least a series or get a quarter. You know, get something in, but ball control and get turnovers. That always changes everything. Ball control, get turnovers.
Spoken like a true defensive ball.
You sound like I was gonna say you sound like you played for Kyle Whittingham right there.
Thanks, Robert. You fans will be right back. Hey, Swoop, who's your favorite player on BYU right now? Yeah, I don't have one either. Ute fans, thanks for tuning in to another great episode of The Extra Point featuring Jordan Wynn and Cal Beck. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please stream us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Music. Come check out the Ken Garff University Club, where you can get a membership as low as $80 a month. And please check out our next podcast previewing the UCLA game next Saturday. Go Utes!
Go Utes!